Vamos a practicar con muchísimas cosas esta noche. We're going to practice with a lot of different things here tonight. I actually want to open with something totally unrelated to what we did. Well, it's not totally unrelated. It's still in that vein of mi mejor amiga kind of thing, but it's kind of a fun twist on that. So we're going to do that first. We'll do a very early breakout fun talking session, which will be more like an icebreaker warm-up just for fun. You'll see what that's about after you watch the little video. We will take any questions you've got about that presente perfecto, okay? Most of you did the speaking. Thank you so much for doing that. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you for doing that. I tried to send everybody feedback on all the little web-based things that you did, so that was great. We'll do a little bit more practice for you to work that. We're going to take a look more at pretérito and imperfecto, the two past tenses, because a lot of you in talking about your best friend found that, wow, I need a little more work with that pretérito and imperfecto, a little bit more. So we're going to do more with that, a couple different websites, and you know, we'll do some practice again. And I hope to give you a reading assignment for the weekend. It'll be a fun reading that'll let you read along with it. It will read to you orally and highlight each sentence as the voice reads. And then it will go into some vocabulary, quizzing on what the exact information you just read, and some put the sentence back together. The phrases of the sentence are all jumbled up. So we hope to get through all of that. And of course, any questions you have along the way. If we get interrupted by that, está bien, it's fine. Okay, since we had a topic, momento, with mi mejor amiga, my best friend, we've got a fun video, which is on it's about two best friends talking. So this is what you're going to do your icebreaker about, although we're going to break it out into shorter number of questions. We probably won't watch the whole 9 minutes of this, but I do want to watch some of it. It's just a back and forth. And you're going to have 4 questions, because actually some of the questions she had were unexpected. I did not expect to see them, and they were kind of fun. So we'll watch part of this, at least first, so you can get the idea. Muy bien, vamos a ver. Y voy a engrandecer la pantalla.
Entonces, ¿a dónde sería su viaje soñado?
A Grecia.
¿A dónde sería mi viaje soñado?
A una playa nudista.
¿En dónde? Hola mis amores, espero que estén muy bien. Hoy quiero presentarles a una persona muy importante en mi vida. Ella es Vanessa, es una de mis mejores amigas. Nos conocemos hace 16 años.
Nos conocemos desde hace 16 años. We have known each other for about 16 years. Okay, so she tells you how long. She uses that hace with the period of time phrase.
Años, ella no es calladita, para nada calladita, pero está un poco tímida por las cámaras. Iván está aquí porque le ha invitado a que hagamos un juego para ver qué tanto nos conocemos. Resulta que, como les he dicho, septiembre es
que he dicho, I have told you.
El mes del amor y la amistad en Colombia. Y bueno, siendo Vanessa mi gran amiga y es de hecho la mejor amiga que tengo aquí en la ciudad, pues vamos a ver qué tanto nos conocemos. Entonces, Vane, te explico a ti y les explico a ustedes cómo es el juego. Hay una serie de preguntas y cada una de nosotras tiene unas hojas. Nosotras debemos responder a la pregunta como nosotras y a la pregunta como le respondería la otra. Es decir, por ejemplo, si yo te pregunto, ¿cuál es la edad? tú respondes tu edad y mi edad. Y yo aquí respondo mi edad y la edad de Vani. Y miramos quién coincide.
Ok, entonces van a responder a la misma pregunta. They're going to respond to the same question, right? Perdón. And, you know, write down what the answer is for themselves and what they think their friend is going to answer because they're best friends. So it's like, it's almost like, you know, that old newlywed game, but with friends instead of with couples, right? You know, you're guessing what your friend is going to say, and then they'll compare.
O sea,
Primero usted pone la... Ella y yo nos susteamos. Yo intenté tutearle para que se dé cuenta que entre amigos se tutean, pero ella y yo nos hablamos de usted. Entonces, mejor le usteo para que esté correcta. Vale, usted pone primero su respuesta y luego la mía. Si quiere le pone MB para que sepa cuál es la que yo pondría y cuál sería la que usted pone. ¿Listo?
Listo.
Entonces, primera pregunta. ¿Dónde sería el viaje soñado de cada una?
¿Dónde sería el viaje soñado? El viaje soñado, the dreamed of vacation. Where would your dream vacation be? Is what she asked.
Me avisa si está lista.
El viaje soñado.
Lista.
¿Lista? Voltea a la cámara.
MB, ¿no?
Entonces, ¿a dónde sería su viaje soñado?
A Grecia.
¿A dónde sería mi viaje soñado?
A una playa nudista.
¿En dónde?
A la playa nudista, nudist beach.
Al sudeste asiático.
Ok.
Realmente nudista no tiene que ser.
You can only say that to a friend.
Listo. Una pregunta. ¿Cuál es la actividad favorita en el tiempo libre? ¿Listo?
Listo.
Yo no fui capaz de decidirme de una sola por usted, porque creo que hay dos. Así.
Estamos claros.
¿Cuál es su actividad favorita?
Leer.
Montar bici y leer.
Bien.
¿Y la mía?
Bailar.
Bien, bien, bien. Todos
Vamos bien.
bien. Tercera pregunta. Edad del primer beso de cada una. No me acuerdo cuántos años tenía. ¿Cuánto puso? ¿Cuál fue la edad de su primer beso?
8 años.
Yo puse que 5 años, conociéndola. De hecho, diría 3.
De pronto, pero no recuerdo.
Y yo,
13 años.
14 años.
Ah, bueno, sí.
Sí.
Perfecto.
Animal favorito. Yo no sé, todos los días cambio de animal favorito. Pero vamos con el que me gusta casi siempre. Últimamente. ¿Cuál es su animal favorito?
Jirafa.
¿En serio? Sí. No tenía ni idea, yo puse gato. ¿No? ¿Y el mío?
¿El perro?
El delfín, pero el perro me gusta mucho. Color favorito. Uy, el suyo, no sé cuál sea, pero yo creo que sí. Ay, yo parece que se dice como de negro y de blanco. Pero no sé. No lo estoy copiando. No lo estoy copiando. Esto no es el colegio, ayuda que me copies. Mientras tanto, ¿dónde nos conocimos?
Nos
Cuéntanos.
conocimos en el colegio San Pedro Claver.
Hable duro para que la escuchen.
Nos conocimos en el colegio San Pedro Claver, en el bachillerato.
Yo creo que su color favorito es el azul.
¿Es el azul?
¿Sí?
De acuerdo.
¿Y el mío?
¿El verde?
¿Sí? ¡Ah, a mí! Yo creí que eso no me íbamos a responder.
Ok. Entienden, ¿no? Es la idea general del juego. Y ustedes van a hacer el mismo juego, pero van a tener preguntas específicas como, por ejemplo, y voy a escribirlos aquí. Voy a escribirlos en el chat box, ¿bien? Ok, van a preguntarles a los otros. Van a estar en grupos de quizás 3, ¿ok? Entonces, por ejemplo, van a hablar de la edad del primer beso, porque me encanta esa pregunta. ¿Qué pregunta? La edad del primer beso. The age of your first. Age of your first kiss.
Yes.
Okay. La comida que ni soportas. The food that you can't stand. La comida que ni soportas. The food that you cannot stand. De tu viaje soñado. We're going to steal that question. Es buena pregunta. Your dreamed of vacation. Your dream vacation. Y una pregunta más donde está. Oh, la última pregunta. Tu mejor talento. Tu mejor talento. Tu mejor talento. Entonces, quiero que ustedes vayan a los cuartos de hablar, ¿no? Right? Our breakout rooms. Y uno preguntarle al otro, take some turns asking those questions. ¿Cuál es la edad de su primer beso? O quizás quieren adivinar. Maybe you want to guess people's ages of their first kiss. Maybe you want to guess the food you think they can't stand. Maybe you want to guess where you think their dream trip is. Maybe you want to guess with what their best, what's their best talent. What's the best thing. Pero todo en español, entonces, ¿no? ¿Bien? ¿Entienden? Es fácil, ¿no? Es fácil de hacer. Y, bueno, a ver. Somos 9, más o menos. Ok. 5, 7 minutos, 5, 7 minutes. Algo muy fácil. Y oprimen el botón de join. Hit that join button. Okay. Hay unos minutos. We got a little bit of time. Oh, folks are coming back in. Here we go. Aquí vamos. Muy bien. Bueno, ¿y cómo fue todo? How did everything go? ¿Tienen preguntas?
No.
¿No? ¿Sí? ¿No? ¿No? Ok. Vale. Vamos al grano. Let's get right to it. Let's get right to it with our present perfect again. You guys did a lot of little practice things using that present perfect. We'll review what that looks like real briefly here, just so that we're all on the same page.
I have a question from the handout.
Oh, sí, dime, tell me, yes.
On the irregular page, it says, it has the irregulars, ver, hacer, and then it says, remember you use these with a star as adjectives. Refresh my brain. Would you say,
Okay.
yo estoy visto? And what does that mean? I am.
Okay, entiendo.
Yeah,
I do understand.
Yeah.
Entiendo. I do understand. And we will take a look at that after we look at the, yeah, we're going to review the screens first. But
Okay.
es buena pregunta. It's a good question.
Okay, yeah, because what tense is
There's
that?
a real, yeah, there's a difference between them. There's a difference between that use. The function of those past participles is different if you use them just with estar. So we'll do a quick review of that as well. Okay. A ver, but we're going to not preview. I know the screen says preview, but we're going to just take a review here of what this present perfect means, of course. And it means somebody has done something or some people have done something, right? So I have seen, we have found, they have called. In this sense, that past participle is not a describing word. It is an action word, okay? So the present participle, the ado ido part, or whatever irregular it might be, is strictly speaking an action. It is joined with that form of haber to form the tense. And we're going to take a look at that. Those form, these ado idos, in order to use present perfect, they have to be matched up with one of these verbs in bold. It has to be matched up with has, hemos, habéis, han. It's got to be together with one of those, okay? If it's not together with has, hemos, han, if it's not joined up there, then it's not a verb phrase. It has to have those two pieces working together. So in other words, when we look at those examples down below, the bold forms of haber, he leído todas las novelas de Stephen King. I cannot say, it is impossible to be understood if you just say leído todas las novelas. Leído todas las novelas without the verb is like inválido. It's invalid. It doesn't make sense to somebody. They won't understand what you really mean. It's got to be the leído, those two things working together. This tense is what they call compound for a reason. Compound because those two pieces must be together, okay? He ido a España. Mi esposo ha tomado fotos. Ellos han terminado. Has viajado a Asia. Nunca he viajado. Hemos recibido. So you need to have those two verbs working together to have that tense. Juanita, what you were asking me about before was what happens when we use those ado or ido words with estar. When you do that, the ado or ido word, the participle, is no longer acting as a verb. Okay? So, por ejemplo, por ejemplo, we need to look at a past participle list. So let's look at a past participle list like these. When these words trabajado, comprado, pasado, manejado, caminado, pagado, comido, entendido, all of these, they cannot work by themselves to make present perfect. If I take one of these words and I use it with estar, then these words you see on the screen, the ado and ido words, when I use them with estar, they become an adjective, not a verb tense. So, por ejemplo, el poema, the poem. El poema es entendido por todos, or it might be used with es. The poem is understood by everybody. The poem doesn't do any action. The poem does not understand. It is understood. Okay, so entendido can be used as a describing word. Por ejemplo, los zapatos Gucci, los zapatos de marca Gucci están vendidos en Nordstrom. Gucci brand shoes are sold, están vendidos. In an example like that, están vendidos, I'm telling what state the shoes are in. They are available at. They are, you are able to purchase them. But the shoes don't do anything. They don't sell. The shoes don't sell anything. They are sold. Okay? So these words you see up here that end in ado or ido, they can work with estar. But if they work with estar or sometimes with ser, they are not functioning as a verb. They are functioning as a descriptive word. Does that make sense, Juanita?
Kinda, almost, it's almost like the past participle tense when you're using a stoy to describe a noun, but it's the closed door.
The past participle can function by itself as a descriptive adjective. That's why we have words like el año pasado. And I don't even have está or es. El año pasado is the past year. And pasado is acting on its own. And it's a free agent. It's a descriptive word. It is not, the year doesn't do anything that has to do with that action of pasar. Pasado simply describes where on a timeline that year was. Okay, por ejemplo.
Okay, so we're basically talking about when we talked about the past participle tense using a star to describe a noun. This is what you're saying here,
Right.
because an adjective describes a noun, so it's kind of a circle.
When you're asked, yeah,
At least
so
in my brain.
right. But see, don't get into that thing of saying a past participle tense,
Okay.
because the past participle is not a tense. It isn't a tense. It is formed out of a verb, but it's not a verb tense. So in other words, with the presente perfecto, the verb tense is conveyed with these things that we see in bold. Has, ha, hemos, han.
Okay.
There are the verb tenses.
Mm.
Those are the actual verbs. And in present perfect, they happen to have to work with a past participle. But the past participle by itself isn't technically a tense. It's formed from a verb, but it may shift around and do different kinds of jobs.
Okay.
That's how you need to think of it. The past participle can work in many different jobs. It can work with no verb at all, el año pasado. straight adjective. Okay. It can work with, los coches manejados en la autopista son carros rápidos. Los coches los coches manejados en la autopista, the cars driven on the highway. And the cars aren't doing any driving, they are just being driven.
And you're describing, yeah, okay, so.
I'm talking about which cars, right?
This is we talked about this before under past participle. That's why it sounded vaguely familiar, but I couldn't tack anything to it.
These are participles. These are past participles, participios pasados. Now, you used them before to describe something, but when I pair it up, and it may describe something by itself or together with ser or estar, more commonly maybe estar to describe a state, but they only form a tense when they're combined with these forms of haber. Has, ha, hemos, han. When I combine it with one of these forms of haber, then it forms an actual tense. But it's got to be the two components working together to classify as present perfect tense. ¿Entienden?
I think so. Yo creo que.
Okay. And traditionally, in a curriculum sense, when people show you those past participles, they show them not the way you're seeing them today, but they show them as the descriptor words like el año pasado, los zapatos vendidos, the sold shoes, the shoes sold in that store. Los zapatos vendidos en Nordstrom son carísimos. The shoes sold in Nordstrom's are super expensive, okay? You'll notice all of these past participles, when they work together with haber, they do not go off into any kind of masculine or plural, feminine. I mean, well, they are in masculine, but they don't go off into a feminine. They can't change into feminine to be part of the verb tense that is called present perfect. They can't be, you can't tag an S on the end of it and pair it up with haber. It is just hado or just ido or just one of these irregulars like visto, hecho, frito. I cannot change it into vista or vistas. I can't do that if I use it as a verb tense. Okay? When you use participles by themselves without a verb tense, they could change into feminine, masculine, singular, plural forms to describe something or somebody. Okay? But now we're using these past participles paired up with has, ha, hemos, han. And now they cannot go off into a feminine or a plural form. They are just that straight past participle form. Vistos, always visto. He visto, I have seen. Has visto, you have seen. Ha visto, he has seen, she has seen. Hemos visto. Hemos visto. Never, never, nunca, 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 never. Hemos vistos. No, no S at the end. Hemos visto. Okay? These words do not morph into a different form when you pair them up with haber. Does that make sense? Okay, see? Okay. Los participios irregulares, here are irregular words, and they're irregular because they don't end in ado, ido. They end in totally different forms all over. English does this constantly. We don't say, I have seed that movie. Technically, if you follow the rule in English, see and seed, you can't use seed as a past participle. It is seen with an N at the end, and it just is that way. Okay, so here are past participles that are just this way. They're not ha oído. Visto, hecho, frito, dicho, abierto, roto, escrito, cubierto, puesto, muerto, vuelto. There are others, but you know, this is like a really, really common list. Okay, so you have to kind of always keep these in mind, but notice they all end in o. Just like all of these end in o. Okay? They won't take a feminine form. They won't take a plural form. They work with haber. Okay, bien? And we can use with a pronoun. We'll come back to that at another time. And you had some videos to watch on that. Así es. Okay. A ver, you guys had used these to talk about bucket list. And I gave you feedback on what you did right or where you might have had some little bubbles that needed a little bit of polishing. And you know what a bucket list is about, things that you haven't done yet, right? So pretty soon we're going to go off and revisit that. And you're going to do that again in small groups. And now knowing where you have corrections, you're going to know how to fix any little errors. And remember, you're going to be using todavía no. Todavía no. Still haven't done it. Okay. Por ejemplo, yo puedo decir, todavía no. Quiero visitar Yosemite. Quiero visitar Yosemite, pero todavía no he visitado Yosemite, el parque Yosemite. Todavía no he visitado el parque Yosemite. ¿Entiende? ¿Sí? Quiero viajar a Italia. Quiero viajar a Italia, Florencia, Roma, todas las ciudades de Italia, pero todavía no he viajado a Italia. ¿Verdad? Bien. Quiero ganar la lotería, pero todavía no he ganado la lotería. Todavía no he ganado la lotería. I have still not won the lotto. Sí, bien. Fantástico, ¿ok? Ustedes van a hablar de bucket list. ¿Está bien? ¿Ok? Quizás 5 minutos. I think 5 is enough. ¿Están de acuerdo? You are in agreement on that? 5 minutos?
Sí.
Sí, 5 minutos. Ok, para hablar. Y no tienen preguntas, ¿verdad? Ok. Aquí vamos. Here we go off.
Did you write?
Anything on your bucket list?
That I wrote.
Okay. Oh, Marlene, ¿quieres practicar conmigo? You want to practice with me?
Well, Marilyn, I didn't do those, so
Oh, okay.
I am,
Is there something you have off the tip of your tongue, quizás? Or something that somebody else has not done?
let's see.
Mi esposo no ha viajado a México. Nunca. Así es.
Let's see. I don't know. I can't even think of what I want to say. I would like to say I would like to visit Australia.
Me gustaría visitar Australia.
Okay.
Now, all you need to do is say, I have never visited Australia. Todavía no. Todavía no.
No. Visit.
We need something paired up with visitado. We need
Ah.
has, hemos, han.
Wouldn't it
Depending
be
on
the
who
ah?
has not done it. Yo he, tú has.
Ah. So it would be visitado. No es visitado.
It's visitado. Who is it that has not visited?
Me.
Then you cannot use a. A would mean he has or she has.
Oh.
You need as.
Oh, okay. I misspoke. Would you say no
You would say
visitado?
no
No he visitado.
No he visitado. No he visitado Australia.
Australia.
Mi hijo no ha visitado. And now I can use a because I'm using mi hijo. Mi hijo no ha visitado el Canadá.
Okay. That brings me up to a question that I had on my, when you had done our corrections on our questions,
Mm-hmm.
and I had said about estamos trabajando. And I was wondering, I didn't quite understand what I did wrong.
Estamos trabajando is okay. We are working, not we have worked.
Okay.
But trabajando, A-N-D-O, sounds a lot like trabajado, A-D-O. It's missing the, trabajando has an N in it. Okay?
Okay.
Trabajado has no N in it.
Okay.
So ando is ing. And ado is the equivalent of ed. And
So
you know, now that you mention that, we may put that up on a share screen when everybody gets back.
Okay.
Because that is a common error.
I was confused about that, and I'm glad that we had a chance to talk about that.
There you go.
Okay.
Así es, yes. It is, yeah, you know, those two words sound very much alike, but they are not the same. So, yeah. They're very, very similar. You have to be listening for that n. Están trabajando. They're doing it right now as we are speaking, right? But if we're looking at he trabajado, I have worked, well, it's something I did in the past, probably kind of recently, yeah.
Right. Okay.
And it might happen again in the future. Maybe it might not. Kind of, yeah, depends, right, on the situation. Okay. But yeah, we'll take a look at just a couple of easy things with this when everybody comes back, and we'll look at the, we will also look at a whiteboard screen to get that clarified.
Okay. And I apologize. My internet is, I've been cut out like 5 times already on this thing.
Yeah, I saw that. I was hoping you were getting back in.
Yeah,
it happens.
Yeah, but
no te preocupes. Do not worry about that.
It's been a problem tonight. I've been dropped 5 times.
Do not worry. You are not the first, and you undoubtedly won't be the last. This happens.
I hope it's my last one for tonight.
Karen says she's got to find a way to share her computer with her husband for his French class. That should be interesting. Yeah. So, aquí vienen. Here you come.
Marilyn, it's Tomas. I have a suggestion.
Okay, sí.
Would it be possible to go to the bulletin board that has all the Post-its that everybody submitted
We can
And
do
you
that.
to share, and you to share, not to embarrass it, because we don't know who submitted what, but share some of the corrections. One on, you know, here's some things that were done well. Here are some things that maybe we
Sure.
didn't do. But I think it was kind of hard in our breakout session not to be looking at that, just as, because that
Okay.
was a nice plethora of thoughts across the board with as many students as we have.
Okay, we can do that. Ooh. Soon. Oops, I've got the wrong one. It does not help to have the wrong class.
Not much.
Presente perfecto. Aquí está. Here it is. Okay. Vamos a empezar con eso. We're going to start with that. We will take a look. We will revisit that.
Thank you.
De nada, claro. We will not listen to everybody's audio because that would take a long time.
No, you don't want to do that.
Well, it's long. And I don't want to put people on stop, but here we go. Okay, we'll get down into a share screen and we're going to take a look at all the different possibilities. And we're going to look at some things that are tweaked. So where you see 0 hearts, we have something we need to change around a little bit in some way. And now, mind you, there might be some little tweaks here and there that aren't corrected. But what I'm focusing on, what I was looking at for the heart thing is just, and Tomas, I have to give you a heart. I did not see your thing here. And I think it won't let me correct it. So actually, you deserve to get a couple of hearts here.
Marilyn, excuse me, but I don't know whether it's my computer screen or not, but it's really fuzzy.
Oh, yeah,
it
mine
is.
is.
Is
It's
it
not
fuzzy?
totally in focus.
It's a little fuzzy.
Ooh.
I can't make out the words.
We can't make out the words. Well, thank you
it's
for
really
telling me
fuzzy.
that.
It's also small, so.
And it is very small. It is very small. And I don't think this allows me to make this big. It does not allow it to make it big. I think if you go back,
There, you made it
Oh,
clear.
that's much better.
it
That's
is better.
Better.
Yeah.
Perfect.
step.
I can't
Can
read
you
it.
say, what did I do? Ni idea. I have no idea what I just did. So I'm not going to touch anything. I'm not going to touch anything. No voy a tocar nada. I will refrain from touching anything. Okay. Por ejemplo, pero todavía está muy pequeñita. It's still really super tiny, right? No he ido de vacaciones a las Islas Hawaianas. I have not gone to the Hawaiian Islands. No he ido. Okay. So as long as you've got he ido right, I gave a star. And Tomas, I'm going to apologize because you're at kind of the bottom of the page there, and you actually did well, but I didn't give you a heart because I didn't get time to go in and look at that. And I'm going to go from left to right across the top. No he visitado el norte de Estados Unidos, de Nueva York, Vermont y la costa de Maine. No he visitado. I have not visited. No he quedado en San Agustín, Florida. Otra vez. I have not stayed in San Agustín. Again. No he viajado a Portugal. Now, here, I didn't give a heart because if you gotta know, and this is important, and this is something, you know, you're used to saying, I'm going to put the no in front of the verb. So now here's where you need to understand that he and the viajado have to be together and nothing can separate them. So if we have a negative, it's important to move the negative in front of he, in front of as, in front of a, the no in front of hemos, the no in front of an. The no must be in front of the form of haber. So you cannot look at viajado, and say, there's a verb. It's he viajado. He viajado. So to make it negative, it has to be no he viajado. No he viajado. The no has to be in front of the form of haber. Okay? So that's something you're going to get used to. The more you see it, the more you hear it, the more you use it. We cannot separate he, viajado. Those two must work right next to each other. So anything that's negative or a pronoun has to come in front of the conjugated verb, which in this case happens to be e. Okay, and we're going to look at the next one because we have the same problem, and to correct it, it has to be no he viajado a Portugal. No he viajado a Portugal. No he viajado. No he, no he. The verb is he, but he viajado, those two things work together. No he viajado. And now you corrected it. You got it right. No he visto museos en Francia. I have not seen museums in France. No he visto. Magnífico. Okay? So anything negative, the negative word, whatever it may be, nunca, no, todavía no, it's got to come up in front of the form of haber. Okay. No he visto ballenas en el océano. Oh, magnífico. I haven't seen whales in the ocean. No he visto. No he visto. Right? Not he no visto. You'll really mess with somebody's brain if you say it that way. No he visto. No in front of the form of haber, which is he. No he visitado a Sudamérica o Antártica. I have not visited South America or Antarctica. No he escrito un libro de terror. I have not written a horror book. No he viajado por tren en Canadá. I haven't traveled by train in Canada. Nunca en mi vida. Here's a whole negative phrase. Nunca en mi vida. Never in my life. Nunca en mi vida he visto la aurora boreales. Las auroras boreales. I've never seen aurora borealis. No he ido a África. I have not gone to Africa. En safari. Para tomar fotos. Okay? I'm looking at the third line. No he viajado a Costa Rica. I have not traveled to Costa Rica. No he visitado Roma. I have not visited Rome. Todavía no. I haven't yet. Todavía no he visitado Buenos Aires. Todavía no he andado en el camino de Pacific, Pacific Crest Trail, el sendero de Pacific Crest. We probably wouldn't translate that because that's the name of it. Okay. He andado. No he andado. I haven't hiked. Todavía no he diseñado un jardín de Zen. I still haven't designed a Zen garden. Ni yo tampoco. Todas mis plantas, escuchen clase, todas mis plantas en el patio han muerto durante el verano. Todas mis plantas han muerto.
Lo siento.
Hooray.
Debido al calor extremo, ¿no?
Sí.
Okay.
Please.
Now, okay, Jen, Juanita, es para ti. Todas mis plantas están muertas. Todas mis plantas están muertas. They are dead. Están muertas. I had muertas is not behaving like a verb there.
Yeah.
Están muertas, they're in the state of being, right?
Yeah.
But las plantas han muerto. They have died. There the plants did the action of dying. They did that action. Han muerto. They have died. Escuchen la diferencia, ¿no? Listen to that difference, right?
Yeah.
Because I use muertas as a descriptor, but han muerto, they have died. They actually did the dirty deed of dying on me, okay? Bien. Okay, otra vez a los apuntes. Back to the notes here. Todavía no he construido un puente. Suspensión. I haven't built a suspension bridge para nuestra casa. Algo largo, something long. Nuestro viaje a Francia ese verano pasado fue cancelado. Was canceled debido a la pandemia. Estábamos muy tristes. We were really sad. Now, ya viajar I got a little problem with that, but we'll figure that out later. Estábamos muy tristes de que. We were really sad that. Am I interpreting that right?
Yes.
Estábamos muy tristes de que no hemos
The
viajado.
viajar shouldn't be there. That was a typo.
Okay.
That one.
Now, I have to tell you, this is a little tricky. Estábamos muy tristes. If we were sad that something did not happen, that would have to go into subjunctive, and that's a long and complicated explanation. But it would sound like this. Estábamos muy tristes de que, no, actually we can make it a shorter one without subjunctive. Estábamos muy tristes de no viajar a Francia. De no viajar. That would be the easiest way to say it with no subjunctive. Estábamos muy tristes de no viajar a Francia. We were really sad to not have traveled there. Okay. I could get fancy and say, estábamos muy tristes que no hubiéramos viajado, that we had not traveled, but you know, that's getting into another thing that's too complicated. Nos gustaría viajar a Portugal. We would like to travel to Portugal y Costa Rica. Son países hermosos con culturas interesantes. Muy bien. Ok. Bien. No he esquiado. No he esquiado. En América del Sur, in South America?
Yes.
Okay.
And I realized the mistake, but I couldn't go back and edit it.
You couldn't go back and edit it. So we would need to turn esquí into esquiado.
Esquiado.
Esquí is the thing that is the ski. Okay, the actual ski itself. No he esquiado en América del Sur. No he jugado golf en Augusta, Georgia. Muy famoso, un lugar muy famoso. No he jugado al golf. I haven't played golf there. No he hablado español. I have not spoken Spanish. Ay, no es verdad. No he viajado a Australia. I have not visited Australia. No he hecho zip lining. I have not done zip lining. Me imagino que no hay término. I don't know if there's a special term for zip lining. I'm going to have to look that up. It's a recent thing. So I have to look up if they just borrow that word or not. No he hecho zip lining. No he vivido en México. I have not lived in Mexico. Okay. ¿Tienen preguntas de los apuntes? ¿De cómo se forma con una idea negativa? ¿Algo? Any questions on those?
I have a quick question, Marilyn.
Okay,
I was confused. I'm confused when you have to add a after a verb. I was doing Duolingo, and I kept getting wrong because I didn't stick the a and after a verb, and it said whenever you use a verb followed by a person or an animal, you have to add a. But then I think you said something, if it's an action verb, you have to add a, so it wouldn't have to be a person.
There are many reasons for using, so of course it couldn't be a simple answer. There are many reasons for using a. One reason is verb of motion. Vamos al cine. Vamos al parque. He ido al parque de la Fuente. I've gone to the fountain park muchas veces. He ido al parque aquí en Fountain Hills muchas veces. Un montón de veces. A ton of times. He ido al parque. Okay? Okay. So it might be a verb of motion like ir. It might be that is being used as the a personal, which is a direct object being a human being. Por ejemplo, no he visto a Deborah. No he visto a Deborah.
Okay.
I haven't seen Deborah.
Okay.
En presente, no veo a Deborah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see her, but it has to be no veo a Deborah.
Okay.
No he visto a Deborah. I have not seen Deborah. I still need the a. Because if you ask this, the question of who did I see? Deborah.
Mm-hmm.
She's a human being and I have to put on in front of her name because that's just what they do. It's called the a personal.
Okay.
And we should maybe do something to practice that speaking next week. It's something we haven't revisited in a really long time. And it's undoubtedly worth practicing a little bit. But there are many reasons for using a. But if it's not the direct object being a human being,
Mm-hmm.
okay, then it's often that word a has to be used after a verb of motion to indicate that somebody's going to a place.
Okay. Okay.
To a
Okay, that makes
place.
sense.
Okay, to a place. So where people often get confused is the difference between using en and a.
Mhm.
And yeah, and you're nodding because you know that. Okay, we'll build something for that next week.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
And indicates stationary, not moving. So if you stay in a place, you are in a place, you're working in a place, you're just there. Okay? But if I'm walking to the place, that's not stationary,
Mm.
right? Okay? If I'm coming to a place, those are verbs of motion. If you go 2 blocks and turn to the left, those are all motion. Those are all motion. But estamos en casa, never estamos a casa. Estamos en la biblioteca, estamos en el supermercado, never estamos al supermercado.
Okay.
You'll throw somebody for a loop. Estamos al supermercado. I have a hard time even saying it because it doesn't make sense. Estamos en el supermercado, en. Me quedo en casa. I'm staying at home. Staying, not moving, en. Mis hijos están en casa. My kids are home. Mis hijos están en casa, but never mis hijos están a casa, because están means are, stationary, not moving. Mis hijos van a la cocina, they're going to the,
Mm-hmm.
van a la cocina, caminan a la cocina, they're walking to the kitchen, corren a la cocina, they run to the kitchen, okay? But that's all motion, 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 motion. Están en la cocina, ¿verdad?
So, no he visitado a Roma or
Just
Roma?
Roma. Just
Just
Roma.
Roma.
This is what kills me.
Here's where you could use en. No me he quedado en Roma. I have not stayed in Rome.
Okay.
No he ido a Roma. I haven't gone
1,
to
2.
Rome. No he visto Roma. Visto, seen, no motion. We don't need an a. No he visitado Roma. I have not visited Rome. Do you say I have not visited to Rome?
No.
No, but we don't usually say personal A's either, so.
Rome is not a person. Yeah.
No, I know, but I mean, there are lots of goofy things that
There are lots of goofy things, yeah.
differently, so.
Yeah. No he visitado. Visitar doesn't really need an a or an en or anything like that, because we don't really say visited in, because we don't. No hay motivo. There's no real reason for that. You just don't use a with that. It's a thing that you come to know better with time and examples, sadly. Which things work and which don't. I mean, there are rules, but It's just like if somebody said to you, I have not visited to Buenos Aires. You would know what somebody meant if they said that to you in English, but would you use that word too?
Mm-mm.
No, you wouldn't. So in the same way, no he visitado Buenos Aires. I have not visited Buenos Aires. And I know you're thinking about visitado, visited, oh, you moved and you went there, but visitado is not considered a verb of motion. I could say, no he viajado a Buenos Aires. I have not traveled to Buenos Aires, but yeah, to Buenos Aires. I know sometimes directly means to, T-O. Sometimes it means nothing at all. No veo a Deborah. Means nothing at all in translation. It's there because it's the personal a. I'm describing who I saw, who received the action of my vision. And because it was a human being and not a thing, I had to have the ah. That's how that happens. I kind of went on a tangent, but you get the drift, right?
Sorry, I
So
steered
Marilyn,
us in the wrong direction here.
I kind of have an analogy to that, and that is I keep throwing in the word de, D-E, and sometimes it's right, and sometimes it's not right. I mean, is that complicated to explain?
Yes, because I would need to know the exact.
Can you come up with a rule?
No, I don't think there's a nice, neat rule. There is a nice video that talks about, that kind of goes through en, and para. It does not use all the prepositions, but it uses those three, which are frequently misused. We could do a thing just on prepositions.
That would be great.
That would,
Actually. But,
yeah.
you know, that's, prepositions are the easy ones. My very best college prep students did super well at. And the hard ones, even they would say, "Ooh, I forget which verbs use that." Some of them, sadly, just have to be memorized. For you, that's going to be tough. The ideal way is to see it over and over and over again so that it sticks. And that's tough when you're not speaking Spanish 24/7. Prepositions are very touchy things because sometimes they are directly exactly like what we do in English. And then we're like, oh, yay, estoy muy feliz. I'm so happy about this. And then other times they're in there and it's like, why is that word even there? But it just has to be there because that's what they use. So I will try to kind of distill this into an actual lesson for next week. Vale la pena. It really is worth it. It is worth it because there are, it's worth it to take some specific things that are common and work those. But Federico, for just the word de, I don't have a nice, neat little one rule.
Well, you're welcome to forget the whole thing.
Well, it doesn't mean we have to forget the whole thing, but you know, we can look at some things that commonly need.
Well, yeah, there's also sobre versus en, or
Sobre is about, and there are some situations where you really have a choice of which words you can use. You know, estamos hablando del presente perfecto. We're talking about. You can say estamos hablando sobre el presente perfecto means the exact same thing. What's the difference? Nothing. It's what somebody felt like saying. Oh, we're not speaking of that. Oh, no, we're not speaking about that. Is there a difference in English? No. I felt like using of, I felt like using about. Sometimes that happens too. Sobre de, a lot of times it's just de. Sometimes it's the shortest way to communicate the idea, you know? And de is complicated because de is used for many, many different things. De pairs up with certain verbs sometimes. Okay, por ejemplo, I'm going to give you one example. because many times we want to use the verb realize. Darse cuenta de. Darse cuenta de. Muy complicado. En inglés es una idea muy rara. Tenemos realize. En español, darse cuenta. To give yourself an account. Huh? We would never say that. Literally, if you translated every word, that's what darse cuenta means. You give yourself an account of something. That we don't say that in English, we say realize. That is how they express that idea of realize, and you just need those words. Me doy cuenta de. No me doy cuenta. Oh, por ejemplo, I'm going to put it in past. No me di cuenta de que había otra pregunta en mi voto. I didn't realize there was another thing on the ballot. No me di cuenta de que. No me di cuenta de que había otra cuestión en el voto. I didn't realize there was another thing there. Eso es. But you have to say it as no me doy cuenta de. You need that little word de. And there are other situations where de has nothing at all to do with a verb. Okay, por ejemplo, este lápiz es de plástico. Es de plástico. Es de plástico. De has nothing to do with the verb. De tells me what this is material it is made out of. Right? Okay. Aquí. Es de vidrio. Es de vidrio. El vaso es de vidrio. The glass is made out of glass. Oh, how bizarre is that? The glass is made out of glass. We use the same word in English for those two things, the material and the item. In Spanish, they don't. El vaso es de vidrio. Okay? So de, it can show possession. Oh, este vaso es de mi esposo. Oh, this is my husband's glass. Este vaso es de mi esposo. So there's no one thing I can tell you about de, because it shows possession. It tells you what something is made out of. It's paired up with certain verbs. It means just plain old are from. Soy de Michigan. It does a gazillion little jobs. And de by itself, you have to see the context it's used in. You have to look at the big picture.
Okay.
Sadly. I wish there were an easy answer for that. But we can break some things down, right? And know when to use de and when not to use de, maybe. Is there a specific example, Federico, you got with the de that you want? Is a burning question right now?
No, but thank you for allowing a burning question.
It's okay. Well, you know what? We'll build the lesson around like some of these little teeny words that you need to know how to use that are helpful.
But just a quick thing, you did mention that encantar, love, was acts the same way as gustar.
Yes, it does.
And is that, I guess, are there a bunch of other words that work like gustar? I thought gustar was kind of unique.
Hay un montón. Debemos hablar un poquito. Should we talk a little about this, but not go end up?
Well, I don't want to throw you off. I mean, already I've taken a bunch of your time. 7, 8
No importa. No importa. Nos quedamos casi 10 minutes. We got 10 minutes. This is a perfect 10-minute quick thing. That's okay. We're off a little, but it's okay. Está bien. Okay. A ver. Share screen. We're going to go to whiteboard.
Email from the rest of the
Sometimes the impromptu question is a little better, or quizás maybe more important for the moment. Por el momento. Okay, vamos a ver. We're going to take a look. Oh, darn. Okay, it's making me swivel things to different screens. I got to put all your faces on one screen and the whiteboard on the other. Okay, vamos a ver. Let's take a quick look. Because we got 10 minutes and because we're a little off, but that's okay. Está bien. Ba, 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 ba. No, no lo quiero. I don't want that. They're all drawings. I have to make myself the cursor. No, it still doesn't like that. Boom, 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 boom. No, it still wants to make me. Hang on, folks. Ooh. I need to become one with the cursor. It only wants to give me a pen. Okay, bummer. I know there's a simple way to do this, but it is escaping me. For reasons I do not understand, it is forcing me to write like a second grader. So I guess that's what we will do. We're going to try one desperate thing first. We're going to try the desperate act of turn it off and turn it back on and see if that helps. Ooh, it did not. Wow. Por fin. Don't ask me how I did that. Okay. Vamos a ver. Okay. Verbos como encantar o gustar, gustar, gustar. Gustar es difícil. Do not use gusto, gustamos. Guy, no. I mean, you can. If you want to say you're really attracted to somebody, me gustas. Wow, I like you. Hey. Oye, hombre, right? Yeah, you know, do a come on to somebody. But no, that's not what you want to do because you're going to get yourself in trouble. So you know that you can only use this verb usually in these two forms. Gustan, gustan, right? That's just what we do. Because a thing is pleasing to somebody or things are pleasing to somebody, right? So gusta tells you that the thing that is liked is a onesie. Gustan tells you that the thing that is liked is plural. It's more than one thing. So how do you know who likes something? Well, in front of gusta or gustan, you have to use these little pronouns. Me, te, le. Never, never, never say, guys. Se does not like gusta. Se does not play nice with gusta, ever. Okay? So I can say me gusta, or I can say me gustan. Okay? Bien? Me gusta, me gustan. They mean the same thing, but me gusta just means I like one thing. Me gustan means I like something more than one. Okay? No tengo ejemplos aquí. I don't really have examples here. Oh, sí, sí, sí. Tengo ejemplos. Me gustan los cuchillos. I like knives. Me gustan los cuchillos. Me gustan. Me gustan. Me gustan. Me gustan todos. Me gustan todos. Me gustan todos. Me gustan todos. I like them all. Para cocinar me gustan los cuchillos. Bien, bien. Pero me gusta este cuchillo. Me gusta. I like this one. Me gusta. Because it's one. Pero me gustan. I like both of them, right? To say he likes them, if it's one, a él le gusta, right? A él le gustan. There are two of them. Okay? I want to talk about all the cooks in the restaurant. If they like it, I need to use les. Oh, les gusta este cuchillo. They like this knife. Para preparar las legumbres o los vegetales, les gusta este cuchillo. Ah, les gustan los cuchillos. They like the knives. Les gustan los cuchillos. Okay? So, gusta, gustan, right? And the me, the te, the nos, the les, that tells who likes it. There are many, many, many verbs that behave just like gustar. And they are pretty common. So one example, we're only going to look at two. One is taking gustar and bumping it up. And by bumping it up, I mean making gustar more intense. To say that, not to say that you like something, to say you love something. Not I love my husband, not I love my children, not I love my grandma. Not talking about a human being. You want to say, I love money. I love Chinese food. I love expensive cars. Okay? So if I want to say love, I don't use gusta because that's just too blah, right? I've got to use this verb. Encantar. Encantar. And encantar looks like enchant, and that's what it means. But we would never say in English, this enchants me, because they'd look at you like you're a weirdo. In English, they want to hear you say you love it, right? But there are only two forms of that verb that you're really going to use. And they are encanta or encantan. Encanta or encantan. And you tell who loves it with me, or te, or le, or les, or nos. Okay. Entonces, la comida china. La comida china, I know it's a vast topic, Chinese food, but Chinese food is a singular noun, right? Correcto, ¿no? La comida china. We love Chinese food. Nos encanta la comida china. Nos encanta la comida china. We love Chinese food. Right? Les encanta la comida china. They love Chinese food. Me encanta la comida china. I love Chinese food. ¿Te encanta la comida china? Do you love Chinese food? Okay. But encanta is more than one. Me encantan los carros costosos. I love pricey cars. A los hombres, hablando de todos los hombres, if I'm talking about all guys, a los hombres les encantan los carros costosos. All men love pricey cars.
And every verb that works this way, in every case, it's never say, it's lay.
Never say.
But it's always lay.
Never say. And you will confuse the heck out of somebody by trying to use say with it. They will know that they will know you are really confused about which thing to use. It's always me, te, le, les, nos. Also, if you're in Spain and you want to say you guys, okay? But there are a ton. I'm going to take one more verb, un verbo más, which behaves this way. And it's used a lot. We use it a lot to talk about what matters to you and what you could give a rip about. Importar. Importar looks a lot like importante, doesn't it? And it is a lot like importante, except it turns it into a verb. We don't really, we don't have a verb that corresponds. Oh, we do, kind of. To be important to, well, that's a mouthful. If something is important to somebody, we use importa or important. Or sometimes we use a totally different thing, a totally different phrase to convey this idea. And the phrase we use is to matter. Because if something matters to you, it's important to you, right? So if you want to say something matters, you use importa or importa. Or if something doesn't matter to you at all, we use importa or importan, but with a negative word no. Or sometimes, wow, you could even say in English that what that really means is to care about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
If you want to say, I don't care about money, is that the same as saying money is not important to me?
Mhm.
Is that the same as saying money doesn't matter to me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A ver, entonces, se dice, and I want to be really emphatic about this. Let's say that I am very emotional about this topic. A mí no me importa el dinero. And I want to be really emphatic about it. I want to say not at all. Para nada. A mí no me importa el dinero para nada. Wow, what a mouthful. But the core basic idea about this was the no me importa el dinero. Money doesn't matter to me. A mí, I'm now making it emphatic. A mí no me importa el dinero para nada. And now I am really making it emphatic because I'm saying para nada, not at all. Not even that much. All that is expressed with para nada, for nothing. To me, money is not important for nothing. If you try to translate it exactly, that's what that means. Okay. Por ejemplo. ¿Qué otra cosa? A José no le importan las herramientas. José is a bad workman. A José no le importan las herramientas. O quizás sus, maybe I should make it more personal. His. His tools don't matter to him. He doesn't care about his tools. Es un tonto. He's a fool. A José no le importan sus herramientas. He doesn't care about his tools. He doesn't take care of them. He doesn't, they just don't matter to him.
Marilyn, would you use that when you're referring to a person? Like, you don't matter to me, which is a horrible thing, I know.
Oh, I don't care about you.
Yeah.
Or I don't care what you think, but I guess that's,
Well, those are two different things.
yes.
No me importas. You don't matter to me. I don't care about you.
So
That's pretty insulting.
to me, you are not important.
No me
So you
importas.
can use it with the person.
You do not matter to me.
Right. Okay.
It's a
Just didn't know
because
if you
I'm
could use it
talking
with the
to
person.
you, buddy.
Okay.
I am tipped off with my boyfriend. No me importas. You're ready to slam the door in his face, right? No me importas.
Right.
Or maybe you don't care about what he said.
Uh-huh.
There's a common thing. I don't care what you said.
Right.
No me importa lo que dijiste. I don't care what you said. I don't care what you're talking about. No me importa lo que dijiste. I don't care about what you said. What you said is just stuff, right? Something very vague. So it's a singular thing. No me importa lo que dijiste.
Thank you.
Al político. To the politician. I'm talking about let's say you're upset about a particular politician. Al político, and let's make it even more specific because you're upset about a particular politician. Be it whomever he may be, a councilman, a mayor, whomever. A ese político no les importa, no, perdón, no le importan sus palabras. That politician, he doesn't care about the words. O mejor, a ese político no le, I've got my ese left out, perdón. I got a fat finger working. A ese político no le importan las palabras que dice. That politician, he doesn't care about the words that he says. So importa acts just like encanta, acts just like gustar, just like gusta, gustan. Importa. There are a whole bunch of verbs that do that.
Okay.
They are, okay, some other ideas, but different verbs we won't talk about tonight. But verbs that act like that, if something seems a certain way to me, the word seems will have to do that. If something is interesting to me, it will have to be a verb like that because something interests me, or those things, they don't interest me. So there are a number of verbs that act like usted. A worthy topic for another lesson to practice, because a lot of these we use to convey feelings or emotions or what somebody feels about something.
Gracias, gracias.
Yeah, sí, sí.
¿Entiendes, Federico?
Sí.
¿Está bien claro? Pretty clear?
Sí.
Okay. There are a lot of verbs that do this. Again, you have to get a feel for them, but we can narrow them down to certain verbs that do that and see that, because a lot of times we want to talk about what is interesting to us, what matters to us. If you're talking about going to a restaurant, you may want to tell somebody, well, I don't care what kind of food. No me importa el tipo de comida que quieres esta noche. I don't know what kind of food you want tonight. Right? Pero otra tengo una reunión muy importante y el restaurante a donde vamos, eso me importa mucho. That matters to me because it's an important meaning, right? Me importa mucho el restaurante que escogiste. It matters to me a lot, the restaurant that you chose, porque es una reunión muy importante. A mi cliente no le encanta la comida china. My customer does not like Chinese food. Entonces, el restaurante sí me importa mucho. ¿Entienden?
Sí.
Vale, ok. Wow. Son las 7 y son las 8 menos 20. Más o menos, ¿verdad? Okay. So, actually, sometimes it's very good to get off topic. Está bien. That is fine. That is fine. I do want to give you some, a reading to do for the week. You'll get that in the email. Okay. We'll plan a little lesson on some of these little pesky pronoun things. Or not pronouns, prepositions. These little pesky prepositions, en, de, stuff like that. You want to do some work on encantar and verbs that like it? Verbs like it?
Sure.
Okay. See? No? Yeah, no. Quizás un poquito, maybe a little bit.
Yeah,
Un
if the
poquito. 5
only-
minutos, 5 minutes?
yeah, only if the rest of the group wants to do it, because I feel kind of like I took
Good
too much
review.
time. So it's up to the group.
Okay. So email me. Email me during the week what you want to do. And that, or you can send me a private message on the chat thing. You can just like hit the chat button instead of hitting everyone. You can send it just for me and you can tell me if you want it or you don't. But in and de and vale la pena. That is worth the effort to do some work on that.
Yeah.
And send you off to do some practice with that. So, okay, está bien. I was going to get a little bit into more past tenses, but okay. Sadly, we did not get time to do that. The article you're going to read will have definitely some past tense in it, but I think from context, you'll be able to probably get most of it. You know, just know that when you see things, when you see verbs, if that verb looks familiar, you might be looking at it in a past tense, since you haven't seen all past tense for a really long period of time. But sometimes that's where reading comes in handy, because you kind of dive into it and know that if you're seeing a different kind of verb, well, it might be the verb functioning as a past. Okay. This is going to be an article that talks about donating checks. Donating checks to charity causes. So it's an interesting little article. It's a recent thing and it's about a current topic. Está bien.
Está bien. Gracias.
Magnifico. Okay, we're going to end it. I'm just going to close the formal recording. You'll have some reading. Do you guys want the next episode with the movies as well?
See.
See. Okay, so I will send those along. I think that's going to be plenty, because if you watch, you know, only one movie, that's still a good half hour of your time. If you watch both, that winds up being like a little over an hour. So I'll send you that and the reading, and we'll pick up with some of these topics that you brought up and